What's up, everyone? We are live. Showdown Breakdown, Super Bowl edition. Chiefs, Eagles. This should be one of the best Super Bowls from an offensive standpoint that we've seen in years. And with me to break it down, as always, last slate of the season, Bobbywow, a.k.a. Bobby Millions, a.k.a. Bobby Moneybags. We got DFS Up North.
I'm back.
Devonta Smith.
So back.
Himself. We're going to take a look at the Super Bowl Showdown slate. There are some awesome contests on FanDuel Draft. Basically, I don't know if you guys have looked. There's a contest for every salary, like every dollar amount that you want. FanDuel's got like a 57-cent contest in honor of Super Bowl 57. 150 entries. DraftKings, they've got the giant $15 $1 million to first. And this one's really interesting. It's much bigger than even the last couple of Super Bowl showdowns are. $1 million to first, but there's a $6 million prize pool here. So it's a pretty, it's not even that top heavy. Now we're going to break it all down. We've got some ins, we've got some angles, we got a little bit of everything. We're going to take a look at it all. Let's get into it, guys. I feel like it's been a while since we've done one of these.
It has.
And
a long time.
I guess because we focused in the playoffs on, let me go back to this here, but we focused in the playoffs on, these 2-game slates and these 3-game slates, but we're back to a showdown. And one of the first things I just want to go over before we get into the depth of the teams is, I hear people saying, I got to be different in these giant contests. And, I got to get crazy. And I understand a little bit of that, but let's be clear. Somebody's hitting the perfect lineup.
Oh, yeah.
And usually we do. So you just, to me, you got to treat this like any other showdown.
Yep.
All right. So I think I'm going to use the DraftKings pricing screen to kind of talk about these teams. Sure. And let's kind of get into it. Let's talk KC. We'll talk Philadelphia. We'll get the whole thing going. I want to talk about the defenses and how we're going to play it out and, then the salaries and all that good stuff. So let's start with the Eagles. Now, obviously, one of the nice things I like about the Eagles as a team is, again, they're not a team that spreads the football around all that much. It's very concentrated. On offense. So DFS Up North, you've been crushing the Eagles wide receiver course. So take us through their group here. We got 4 guys.
Yeah. Really, outside, it essentially is just Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, right? Kez Watkins will get a deep ball or 2 a game. And then Dallas Goedert is essentially a wide receiver at tight end. But outside of that, it is so concentrated. You don't whereas KC, you got to worry about a Justin Watson or a turd maybe sneaking into the end zone. The Eagles are more on you got to worry about a turd Boston Scott, Boston Market touchdown in the Super Bowl here. So, I think that A.J. Brown has drawn a lot of double coverage. He's maybe not had the world's best playoff, but part of that is just that Devonta Smith's been so good. He's such a good route runner, and because he's able to take advantage of that extra attention being paid to A.J. Brown, he's kind of had the big games here the last 6 or 7 weeks. But I love Devonta Smith, but I think that the leverage play is probably A.J. Brown here, as weird as that sounds.
I love that you're going there with it. A.J. Brown is by far and away the number 1 ranked wide receiver in the league against press man coverage. And it's not close. He's levels above the next best wide receiver against press man specifically. Now, which team plays press man coverage at the highest rate defensively?
Not the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. So there is a real... So think about what press man coverage is and think about the Slim Reaper. Okay? What he's not the best at, if you push him, if you can get your hands on him, he's a 170-pound fellow. And, it's hard for him to break the grip of an opposing cornerback. So this may be... Now, of course, Slim Reaper is great against man coverage, which is another thing that KC runs a ton of. So both of these guys really, really look good on this slate. My overview, so they both look good, but AJ Brown in particular, if you're going to play press man against, essentially what is a Greek god in AJ Brown, that's what he looks like. Like if Michelangelo was carving the David today, he'd have like AJ Brown standing there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it would be him. Except, I'm not getting into it. But
I mean, if AJ Brown was like, and right now our ownership projections are about the same on both of them. But if AJ, I wish he was a little bit more expensive. It wasn't like a 50-50 choice here. Because I think that AJ Brown might actually be the better play here. And I've been Devonta Smith truther for the last 2 months.
You have, but they're close in price, and I love them both. I love the offenses here, and that's my overall take on the slate. So let's talk a little bit about these running backs for the Eagles, and that's where it gets a little sketch,
right?
Yes, it's
like it's tricky, right? Because they haven't played a real game this year in the playoffs, right? Like, so we see Gainwell and Scott getting lots of, you know what I mean? But like
blowout.
I think it's Miles Sanders' backfield, although they've seemed to force Gainwell the ball early in the game the last couple of games too.
It's been almost 40%. I haven't seen really where Miles Sanders has gotten over 50% of sort of the snap count on this team. Bobbywow, how are you looking at this running back situation for the Eagles for this game?
Yeah, Geek, I think the field is going to want to fade all these running backs, would be my guess. And so naturally that makes me not want to fade them. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to roster them, to get some leverage on the overside. And so, for me, I think all these guys are in play. Miles Sanders has been much more involved in the playoffs, despite kind of a limited workload. He looks like the go-to guy. Take that for what it is. It's Miles Sanders. We can't forget that. But I really like Kenny Gainwell again. I think he looks like the more explosive back. It's kind of like the Pacheco situation we'll talk about with the Chiefs. He just looks more explosive, and it feels like the Eagles are going to ride him a little bit more than normal. They're going to continue to do that. So Josh is right. They hit him early last week and over the course of the playoffs. And so I like Kenny G.
I think it's tricky too. Like the ownership is just so low, right? Like I'm looking at 14% Miles Sanders in the flex. Like it just instantly looking at that, I don't care what the game script is. Like I just say, it just feels like, okay, I can double that. That's easy. You know what I mean?
Bobbywow, knowing that Kenny G is $5K, does that change your opinion at all? Because his salary is ridiculous. Yeah, he is priced up.
No, I know he's expensive. Again, this is like a tournament strategy, but if you're trying to take down a tournament, that is the perfect play right there.
And like
the 5K Kenny Gainwell.
And we haven't talked about it yet, but on DraftKings, essentially price is negligible. Like it doesn't matter.
I'm not going to agree there because you put AJ Brown we'll make some lineups in the end because I want to play lots of studs. There are studs galore. So I mean, it matters to me. I will spend that salary.
We know that like everybody's going to target both passing games right here. So I think that the obvious leverage is the running backs. Like, would it be that out of this world to see Miles Sanders get 2? And they win 21-17.
Listen, we've seen all kinds of weird things in the playoffs. Like I nothing will shock me. Not, these showdowns, we've done enough of them. Nothing will shock me. Hurts and Sanders together.
Yep,
sure, why not? Mahomes with no stack, that can win. Anything can happen in this kind of a game. But and that mostly covers there's no real turds on the Eagles, like I said, to talk about. You can talk about Zach Pascal. You can talk about, Quez. I've already bet.
Quez is interesting.
Yeah. Well, Quez, basically, it's a 1 reception for a touchdown to be in the nuts. Like there's pass. But when you look at, we'll look at the totality. But when you look below the kicker level here, right? So we get to kicker, we get to Elliott, we get to defense, not touching the defense, not excited about that. Now you got Boston Scott at a way overpriced 3K. You've got Quez here hanging out, and Quez is fine, and Zach Pascal is fine. Jack Stoll would be a shock if he got more than 1 target in this game, and that's it. That does it for you. So a little bit of Quez, but he hasn't done much. Even very minuscule amount of. I think Boston Scott is too expensive. Effectively, he could score a touchdown. He still wouldn't be in the nuts at 3K. So to me, he's too expensive to play almost at all. You could pretty much fade that.
Basically, like with Boston Scott, you ask yourself this question: are they playing the Giants? And if the answer is no, then Boston Scott doesn't go in your lineup.
Yeah,
like that's. I mean, the guy just owns the Giants. Like it should be in their wiki.
All right, so let's flip the script a little bit here to KC. And again, the way I see this going down, you know, the Eagles defensively, they are elite on the outside. Again, it's funny because when we broke down the previous game, there was weaknesses on the outside. Here we have strength on the outside defensively, and the Eagles, in addition, have pretty much been as good as any team in the league at pressuring the quarterback. Although Mahomes is elite against QB pressure because he gets rid of the ball quickly. So I just like defensively. Let me let's bring this in for a second. Defensively, Eagles elite on the outside. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, right? Who's Slay on? He's on Valdez-Scantling on the outside. What's going on with Bradbury? He's on whoever the hell they're throwing out outside wide receiver. Juju, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
So what are the Chiefs going to do? Well, they need to get rid of the ball quickly. The Eagles can get to you fast. It's tough to throw to the outside, so that brings on Kelsey, Kadarius Toney / Sky Moore, but I think Toney is the better of those guys, the up the middle guys, right? And then maybe running back dump offs, something in that range. So that seems like the way the Chiefs wide receivers, especially being that the Chiefs are kind of as Bill mentions here, the Chiefs are kind of weak at wide receiver. Like the guys aren't that good. They're not that talented. So on that backdrop, take us through the pass catchers for the Chiefs DFS up north. As you did the sheet. And Bobbywow, I'm deferring to him a little bit because to up north a little bit because he made the sheet.
I think obviously Kelsey's wide receiver 1, right? Like, I mean, the tight end doesn't mean anything, right? Especially on a showdown. So I think that the guy is a monster in the playoffs, right? The best player where to attack is in the middle. And I think that that's going to be a big day for him. But like you said, like they're going to pressure a ton. I'm not worried about Mahomes' ankle injury. That's not like concerning to me. But I do think that with that pressure, they're going to look to throw these little dump offs to maybe it's Kadarius Toney, maybe it's Isaiah Pacheco, who had more passing game work last week. Maybe it's Jerick McKinnon. So I think that getting some of those guys in your lineup is intriguing. Juju got off the injury report today, so that's a plus. But
everybody's off the report. Everybody's playing.
Good. We're clean. Outside of Mecole Hardman, right? He's IR, isn't he?
Yep.
But they, I like those little short little dump off passes. Somebody said CEH is back. And we'll get there obviously on the turd zone, but it's tricky. It's because Mahomes is just so good that he makes these turd guys look good, but nobody really has like this huge day outside of Kelsey, except for last week when MVS went off, right?
Which was, and that was awesome. Again, though, matchup based, right?
Right.
And we were expecting that. Eli Apple, like that was in the cards last week. It's not, he's got a much tougher matchup.
Way worse. And
MVS is not very good. So, Bobbywow, let's talk the running back position a little bit here for the Chiefs, because I think this might be where some of the money's made.
Agreed.
Pacheco last week, or last game, what blew my mind was 6 targets, 5 receptions. Like, he looked great out there, but primarily he was getting passing game work. Who wasn't getting passing work? McKinnon. I don't understand what these guys do, but is that a sign of things to come, or that happened last week? This week, completely different.
Look, if you watch the pod 2 weeks ago, we mentioned that this would happen. We mentioned that with Mahomes being slightly limited in terms of his rushing ability, that McKinnon would be called on to block more, which would open up some plays, some receptions for Pacheco. We saw that happen 2 weeks ago. I think we see it again. I mean, you see it in the props. Pacheco's props, his receiving props are right alongside McKinnon. His rushing props are significantly higher. I think Pacheco is, again, I like Pacheco a lot. He's priced above McKinnon on DraftKings, which to me is going to make his ownership significantly lower, even than we have it projected right now. I think he's a phenomenal, maybe one of the best plays on the slate is what I will say.
Bam. Mind blown. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not really interested. Are you even gonna I think there's leverage to be had by not playing Jerick McKinnon, right?
I still think the field loves McKinnon. I know it's been a really rough
flex ownership.
I can't imagine he's under 25%.
He's at 23, and we got Pacheco at 19, which, if you just fade that and say, okay, Jerick McKinnon is only going to pass block here, and he's not going to be super involved, you're already gaining that much leverage on the field.
And I think we got to be honest with ourselves about the other side of McKinnon. He had some really nice games, but it was touchdowns.
Yes.
He was scoring touchdowns. He's not a touchdown guy necessarily. So we've seen the touchdowns go away. The points have gone away with them. So yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I love being underweight on McKinnon, overweight on Pacheco.
It's amazing to think back to those games where McKinnon put up 35 points 2 weeks in a row. That is a monster score.
Huge.
That is a, win your playoff fantasy league score. And it's McKinnon. And we're all like, wow. And it's funny because what we were saying while that was all happening was man, this guy's role hasn't changed. It's a random game where this just happened. And then he did it 2 weeks in a row. But, it's kind of calmed down a little bit since then. It seems to shift. But that's what happens with the Chiefs. It could shift back out of nowhere. So
sure.
Can happen here too. So I don't think I'm comfortable full fading it, but I definitely prefer Pacheco to McKinnon in a bubble.
Yeah.
You guys saw, right? It's like the Kenny G effect. Pacheco is a spark plug. When he's on the field, there's a different vibe. There's a different energy to the Chiefs offense. So
now here's the biggest concern, right? And I think I wrote this in my notes, is that I think that McKinnon's a good player. I think that Pacheco's a good player, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good player too. The problem is that who is their coach? Andy Reid. And for the slightest thing, he can just dump a guy and not play him the rest of the game, which drives me bonkers.
It's a good point.
Totally agree.
If somebody fumbles here, it's over. You might as well, if Pacheco fumbles on the first drive and you're way overweight on him, you might as well just log out.
Of course, adding CEH into the mix doesn't make anything any easier. My baseline point of view with CEH is this dude hasn't played in 7, 10, 12 games. I mean, it's been months. I don't think you come back in the Super Bowl and all of a sudden you're featured.
No, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No way.
I mean, he's got
featured.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we'd see more about it, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, and at 1K, the rumor that I've been hearing the most, and I don't know how much weight to put in, is that they're drawing up all kinds of crazy plays for Kadarius Toney. That's what I'm hearing.
That's
a lot
what
of.
I've been seeing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's floating around. There's it's no secret. So that's going to affect Kadarius Toney ownership, maybe.
Yeah, I think if you were going to play CEH, right, or if you were interested in CEH, the play was at the beginning of the week to bet him anytime TD at a plus 1,000, right? Now it's gotten bet down to plus 575, plus 600. That's not interesting to me, but I don't and even if he scores, do you think, depending on what the game script is, I don't know that he gets in.
They don't throw to CEH. So
no.
Generally, it's it's the Boston Scott conundrum.
Yep.
Even at 1K, even if he scores, it's not locked in unless it's a long run.
Nope.
It is not locked in. A 5 or a 6, even in a 1K player, that is not a definitive. This guy's in the winning lineup on DraftKings. On FanDuel, probably.
Sure.
But on DraftKings,
FanDuel, he probably gets there.
Yeah, probably on maybe on FanDuel, but not on DraftKings. So, all right, with the backdrop of kind of all the players, the relevant players on the team gone over, I'm trying to think of any turds. Actually, I think we can get in a little deeper into KC here in the wide receiver position. So
we can talk about Sky Moore and Justin Watson and those guys, right?
Yeah, I think we got to get a little deeper on the KC wide receivers here. So Sky Moore is priced up too. These guys are not cheap. I think Sky Moore is priced at a level where you almost can't play him at 3,800. That is ridiculous. Watson is going, if he plays, will be on the outside against Bradbury. That is not a good scene either. So do we need to mess with the Sky Moores and the Justin Watsons in this one?
Little, right? What do you think, Bobby?
I mean, MME only for me.
Yeah, I don't have a strong. I'm gonna have some, but not mostly just because the DS gives it to me, right? I'm not forcing those guys into my lineup.
It'll squeeze in some of these. I was doing I was doing my props and I was kind of coming up with prop plays on this slate, and like Watson's another one doing wind sprints. This is the
I like Justin Watson more than Sky Moore.
I like Watson more than Moore as well, but Watson like never gets two receptions in a game. It's always like just one. He has a tough matchup.
I think the guy that, if we're gonna play a cheapie here, it's Noah Gray.
Yeah, Noah Gray will get. Yeah, he could get a target or two. And this was another guy where I was looking at. He always seems to get one reception.
Yep.
One reception.
And like that's in the end zone.
He's a touchdown trick play guy.
Yeah, it could happen.
That's the Kelsey throws a shovel pass to Noah Gray, and your slate's ruined. Your Super Bowl is canceled.
This is where you're like,
dump the nacho cheese out.
He's white. It's a Kelsey. Oh, wait a minute.
Kelsey. Oh.
It's not Kelsey.
Or like Swaggy P said, Fortson. Like, I mean, he's a big monster guy in the end zone too, right? Like,
Fortson also gets one catch.
Yes,
most weeks, but it's only one. It's only one. He does tend to get a reception though, every once in a while. There's two catches. Listen, he's fallen in the end zone twice this year. It can happen. These are the turds. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our captain position. We're going to talk FanDuel as well.
Yep.
After, but let's talk a little captain position, guys. And obviously, you had a really interesting stat in your notes, Josh, that when these two teams are in showdowns, like it's very frequently one of the quarterbacks that makes the nuts.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, and it's typically in a showdown, and I know they did this purposefully because it's a Super Bowl and they want to sucker people into playing, and it's hard to, if you can't play both quarterbacks, like, and you're a fish, right? Or not a fish, or just somebody that's new, right? Like, so they price it so that you can play both, right? So it leaves you with an interesting decision. Do you just go all in on Mahomes and Hurts? Do you try to match the field, or do you go under for that leverage, right? And that's, I think, the trick for this slate.
Guys, in this section, for those of you guys watching, this is where we want you to hit us up in the comments. Yeah. Let us know who your favorite captain play is on DraftKings. And, I'm not going to be super impressed if it's Jalen Hurts because it's pretty obvious. But let us know who your favorite captain plays are, and let's see if you can hit the right name. We have done some back testing, and if you're willing to sack up and kind of only choose a couple and be right about one of them, you're almost always going to hit the perfect. Like, you've got a great chance of hitting the perfect score if you kind of want to if you're building 150 and you're kind of willing to sack up and do something like 60, 70, 80 on one guy and be right about it. So let's go through the captain group. Obviously, Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes.
Got a lot here too, by the way.
Yeah, I do, and I think that's the right way.
I wrote a lot of notes.
Worthy of the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Now, I think Hurts and Mahomes are obvious. I think you stack them with at least one. And, if Mahomes is in there, you probably want Kelsey in there. And if Hurts is in there, you want one of Smith or AJ Brown. But is that a must? Bobbywow, do I have to stack at least one?
I think so. I think I'll stack with at least one. My stack with pool will be very larger than normal. But yes, I think you do.
I agree. And by the way, again, I'm expecting a high scoring game. This is the Super Bowl. This is not some game in November where like one team isn't psyched up for the game. They come out flat. This is the Super Bowl. The teams are going to come and bring their A games. And these are two of the best offenses. Certainly the two best offenses in the league this year. And we don't always get that in the Super Bowl. We don't always see the two best offenses facing off. A lot of times what we see are a great defensive team. And we've got the two best offenses facing off, and they can't be slowed. Every time Mahomes is behind big, they're catching up. And the same thing's going to happen with the Eagles. So I see a lot of scoring, and that makes for an interesting lineup construction where you kind of want to afford a lot of studs. But my two favorite captains, I'll tell you who my two favorites are.
All right, let's hear it.
So when we, and it might seem cheese balls, it might not, I don't know. But I like Kelsey and AJ Brown as my two top dogs. Kelsey obviously is always live for two touchdowns in any game. I've already bet overs on Kelsey for receptions, yardage, to score a touchdown. I just think they're going to lean heavy on Kelsey because, of course, they're going to do that. And with Brown, it's, Brown hasn't been that guy. He's not that high owned, only 9%. But what I like is the whole man press coverage thing, and why I just think this might be that Brown game that we haven't seen in a while. So I think there's a reasonable chance. I don't mind the sub 10% ownership, but those are a very obvious spots. So Bobbywow, why don't you take us through, some of your favorites here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll skip some of the more obvious ones. I think, Hurts, Kelsey, Brown, obviously great plays. I like Devonta Smith too. I think some of the sneakier options for me, Pacheco, I think is a genuinely sneaky captain option. MVS looked good. He's a big play guy. And Dallas Goedert, I know feels like he's high. He's project 10% captain ownership feels high. I don't think it'll get that high. I think Goddard could have himself a big game. So I think, those guys in terms of who Josh has here, those are my top guys outside of the obvious ones.
I think it's tricky too, because, and I've said that a lot tonight, but with the pricing, what it is, you don't have to make a lot of hard decisions. So you almost have to force in some of these like cheaper guys in the captain, right?
That's how I think you win it. So that's the whole thing, right? So unfortunately, I'd like to see them even cheaper than they are, but I do think when we make the lineups, you'll see because there's so few turds, like you almost just have to
right.
Goddard doesn't need to be the highest scoring player. He just needs to kind of put up 20.
Yep.
Maybe the sneakiest play, guys. And I want to be clear. I do not like playing him. I'll be way underweight. I think the sneaky, silly for the millie play is Miles Sanders at captain.
Yep.
No Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
I think that is I think that sneaky play has the highest potential of actually
upside
playing
in a
out.
big contest, right?
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, we saw in one of the games, I think it was one of the playoff games where Sanders just lucked his way into 2 touchdowns. Not a whole lot of yardage against San Francisco, but Hurts didn't wind up having a great score. But again, some of that was due to just San Francisco couldn't score, so the Eagles didn't need to do anything, and Hurts just kind of sat back and chilled. But, the way that Hurts is failing in this game isn't because the Eagles just can't score. It's because Sanders is sucking up all the scoring and all the touchdowns. Or the only problem is, they mix one in for Gainwell. Boston Scott comes in and gets one, and then it's not. But I like it. I think it's super sneaky. And did he even make the list here? Yeah, 2% captain ownership. I think Pacheco is the same play.
Yeah, I think so too. He's only 4%. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Pacheco is? Oh.
Yeah, and let's not forget, guys, there were games earlier than now. Pacheco hasn't had this kind of a game, but in the same role, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a couple games, 3 or 4 games earlier this season in the same role where he surpassed 25 fantasy points, even on not a ton of volume, just like similar volume. Or I'm going to show you something. All right, check this out. We're going to go a little more in depth than we normally do, right? So check this out. I want you to see the volume, right? It was early in the season, and Hilaire was, he got a 22, 7 carries, 3 targets. He got 22. He's getting a 22 here, just a couple targets, 19 carries. That's a little more volume, but he had those 2 big games. This one especially stands out to me. Just a couple of targets, but he just got in the end zone a couple times, and that's all it took. And Pacheco actually is probably likely to get an even bigger workload than what we saw from Hilaire in these games, So why not Pacheco?
I love Pacheco. Here's one thing. I don't know that people realize the Kansas City defense can get to the quarterback. They can pressure the quarterback. Eagles have the most sacks in the league. The Chiefs are second. That's a big deal. I think Jalen Hurts, we've seen him struggle a little bit, at least as a runner against defenses that can get pressure on him. So just in light of this captain conversation, let's not forget that the Chiefs have been really good. Yeah, Jones. I mean, that's a big deal. That's something that's not being talked about enough.
Yeah, no, it's very solid across the board. And these are 2 really good defenses, but their offenses, but the opposing offenses are better than the defenses are, right?
Well, I agree. But when we have here, Brian Windhorse, when we have good defenses and good offenses, Who does that mean scores a lot of points? The kickers.
Maybe we'll see. We have to bring up the fact because they're not here in this list. And if I am going to favor a kicker, it's Butker.
Yes, I originally had him in my captain list, but because of the way the salaries worked, I couldn't get myself to get him there.
The reasoning for me on Butker is because as good as the Chiefs defense, it's been pretty decent, but it's designed to do a certain thing. And the problem is you can't really pressure Jalen Hurts because he's going to get out. You're going to pressure him. This is why I played the over on Jalen Hurts yardage 46. He's going to smash through that. That is one of the easier prop bets of the year. You don't think so?
I disagree. But
I got the over.
I love it.
I got the over on carries for Jalen Hurts for the same reason. These guys can rush the football. And what's Jalen Hurts going to? He's going to take off and make them pay. So
up to 50 now.
Is it? I got it 46.5. But yeah,
What'd you get at attempts? What'd you get attempts at?
10.5, and I'm on the over.
And you're on, what'd you get for a number? Minus 105.
Minus 110. Yeah, like even odds. Minus one. Yeah, over 10.5 rushing. The other bonus I put in my breakdown of the props was, when you take a knee at the end. So if the Eagles are leading and they take a knee at the end, those are rushing attempts for the quarterback.
Right. Yes, that counts as rushing attempts.
Yeah, so you can get it. You could backdoor your way in if your team is winning. So there's a little extra out on that particular bet. You get a little lucky with it. So I like that. I like that extra little out.
Yep.
But yeah, so for the kicker, the one thing about the Chiefs defensively, they are very bad. Their red zone defense is brutal, and I don't know why. They got like a good overall defense, but the red zone defense is bad. And that's where you force the field goals, right? Like if your red zone defense is locked down, all of a sudden you're getting kicks. The Eagles are a little bit better defensively like that. So I think if any of the kickers are going to be doing well here, just from a defensive matchups, what do they mean? In a one game played anyway, but
yeah, and I think that the Eagles go for it a ton, right? Like Sirianni is not afraid to let Hurts on 4th and 2 or whatever, you know what I mean? So that takes just, you've seen it with Elliott all year. He just hasn't had a ton of opportunities to kick, but I do like Butker a lot.
And one last thought on it is, teams that play against the Chiefs tend to feel like they need to be scoring touchdowns, like kicking field goals ain't going to do it.
Now,
Bobbywow, any other thoughts on the captain position here?
I think that's the majority for me.
Me too.
All right, let's run down to the turd zone and just, see if there's anybody here that we kind of like that stands out in the sub sort of like, we all like our studs, right? We like these guys. Outside of, I think the way you're approaching it, Hurts is great, Mahomes is great, we love him.
This is where you're going to make your money, is in this like 6K and below number, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with guys who are 30-40% owned. We like them. Everybody likes them. They're going to be high owned, and you're not going to win the slate by picking Devonta Smith like everybody else has.
Okay, so the question I have is, and we were kind of talking about this, is I know that the defenses are going to be low owned, right? But you just you either have to say, okay, like you got to pick a game script, right? Like even at 10%, are you saying, Geek, that I'm going to have like 0 defenses?
I don't think I'll have very much of these defenses at all. Will it be a complete 0? Maybe not. I mean, you could, turnovers happen, weird things, a punt return for a touchdown. Like there are reasons why a defense can do okay. So I think you got to put the defense in the salary boat, right?
Right.
The sub 4K. Like, what do they need to score at 3,600 to be relevant?
What do you?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are we not concerned that guys like Hurts, Devonta Smith could crumble a little bit under the bright lights here? I mean, that's
why I like the Chiefs.
Could that lead to a potential, defensive option in the Chiefs being a little bit more favorable?
You get the whole like Trevor Lawrence in that first game in the first half situation going on. I don't think so. I think it can happen. I don't think there's a ton of stock. I was just curious.
I will say it's nice that it's not like it's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some turd, but like these guys have played in big games, right? Like national championships and things like that. So I mean, that does help, right?
I do have to honor Josh because he loves going to this. I think more than ever, the Sky Moore paired with the Chiefs defense is in play.
I didn't even write about it.
He looked electric. He had that huge return last week. It's almost a must for me.
Well, I guess if you're gonna play the defense, so I'm not gonna have a lot of Chiefs defense to begin with.
Right.
But if I I don't mind that approach. I do want to mention something though that Andy K mentioned here in the chat, and I think Kadarius Toney is perfectly acceptable as a captain as well. And I like that $4,400 salary or 66 as captain. I really like that because the Sky Moore gets you 18 fantasy points. He scores a touchdown, and they do use him a little more than expected. MVS style from last week.
Sure.
That $6,600 captain salary, that's where you get the DFS up north. Don't have to worry about any other salaries, play all the studs situation. Yep. So I'm for that.
Yeah, I don't like that. I
like that a lot. And I think that's probably your sneakiest captain. I think that's probably the sneakiest captain play for me. Yep. That or like a kicker.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
What's the ownership? 1.5% owned at captain. Bobbywow, I know you like that 1.5%.
I love it. That's juicy. I've talked myself into the Miles Sanders no hurts play a little bit.
I like that.
I don't mind it. I like it.
I don't love it. I don't really like it, but like I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it reluctantly because Bobbywow said it, so you got to do it.
And then, if it wins and you didn't play it, then you have FOMO.
That Toney ownership is unreal though. 1%. It is low. That's crazy.
But I mean, he's been getting so much steam on Twitter this week, right? Like, it's gonna go up a little, right? Like, and I get that it's just fish that play the Super Bowl, but like,
even 5% though, like that's too low.
Yeah,
that's where that's captain ownership. But yeah, it's gonna be. He will be low on captain. He will be.
Can we just talk for a second about his season? Like, he's with the Giants. He's gonna crush. Then he was like healthy scratched, and then he got traded, and now he's playing in the freaking Super Bowl. Like, come on.
You know what?
It's unreal.
What's weird is the Giants coaching staff is great, and like they have all that, like Daboll and all this. So I don't know, like he couldn't get along with Brian Daboll, or this was just like a thing with him and I don't know. And that team, he just need a new environment. But he's pulling the same shenanigans here with the Chiefs too, and getting hurt all the time. So we'll see.
And just to clarify, yes, the Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts list lineup, that is a larger field thing.
People asked us to address sort of like not large field as well. And when we build this, like we'll build a lineup here. So let's go to it.
Yeah, go to DraftKings.
Let's build a lineup that I would say is reasonable, not for large field, like more of like, let's call it either cashy or smaller field stuff.
Like 2,000 entry.
Yeah. So who would be, if you had to pick one captain, right? And we're not talking about, we're trying to beat the million people in the showdown, $6 million, $1 million to first. I'm talking about you're in a 70-person contest, a 50-person contest, and you want to make sure that every position that you put in is solid, right? I want solid. Where are you starting with captain, Bobbywow?
I don't want to say quarterback. I'm going to say Travis Kelce.
That's what I was going to say.
I was kind of leaning Kelce too. So I think we all are.
I think that makes the most sense, right? Like I'm just building it right now. So,
where are we going for our salary savings in this? Because we know we want Hurts, we want Mahomes, we want everybody. We want all of this, but we can't afford all of that. So let's start with who's our comfortable cheapie. Is it Kadarius Toney?
It's got to be Toney. I think Toney for me.
I think so too. Like that's my comfortable. Hey, I
mean, super comfortable as a kicker. If you want to go safer, I think kicker's a little bit safer. Toney far and away the higher upside.
We might need two of these guys. So let's see.
Yeah, I think we will.
Goddard, yes. Right.
All right. Are we going to address the quarterback?
Well, we want to get to them, but I'm trying to build up enough average remaining to get to these quarterbacks. So I'm like, I know we got to pay down. It could be Pacheco. It could be Goddard.
Could be Goddard. DraftKings, give me Goddard.
Okay, we're at 7,700. Now remember, if I put in Hurts and Mahomes, that's it. We can't do it.
Well,
can't do it. Doesn't work. Now, even though DFS North promised me I could play whoever I want, I can't.
You can play whoever you want.
Told I could play whoever I want. I can't.
Well, you can't play Goddard with everybody. So
that's pretty dang
so
fun.
If we put in both of these, then we're again we're basically that's below kicker. I mean, we gotta find like a supreme, basically a zero. You'd have to put a zero in your lineup. So you cannot play Kelce. To me, I don't think you could play Kelce at captain and have both Hurts and Mahomes in there and feel good about your lineup. Not for a high dollar, because again, I've got it now at 3,750. Sure. I've got to basically put a 0 in.
So you could go
a 0.
I mean, I consider like Watson.
Yeah,
or
no,
Quez.
that's true. That's true. Yeah,
I consider these 0s. Like these are probably going to get me a 0. So I don't like any of that.
It's ugly.
Yeah, I don't want Sky Moore. That's a 0. Butker, fine, but look, all
right, done. I got it. Work. You ready? Are you ready? You ready? Kelsey captain. Take Tony out. Well, just hold your horses. Goddard.
Let's go. I love double tight end. Let's go.
Butker. Kez.
Wait, who?
Kez. Quez.
Watkins.
Oh. He changed his name to Kez, but Quez is a 0.
And Hurts and Mahomes.
Yeah, you could get there if you. Yeah.
How does that lineup's good?
I like that lineup. It's a little less safe than I think we set out for.
You could go instead of Watkins. You could go nobody. No,
I mean, effectively, you're taking a 0. So let me look at a different approach here, and I'm going to show the crazy approach because you're taking a 0 with Quez. Basically, I don't mind it, but you got Quez in there, and he's probably not going to do anything. Well, what if you went nuts?
Goddard,
Kadarius Toney.
Oh boy,
captain.
We're back to riskier, larger field.
I don't know, man. I kind of don't know how risky this is. He's not a 0.
You're falling head over heels for Tony, Geek. You're making me nervous.
I am. I love the cheapness. So I just want to show you what the lineup looks like.
Even Goddard at captain.
Yeah, throw a little Goddard in there. Hold up. And Goddard could be the captain as well. By the way, Goddard's probably actually for high dollar. Goddard's the better. But let me pull this one all the way through. Okay. So we like Pacheco.
Yeah, I like
now that. I'm in the zone. All right.
Get in the zone, baby.
Oh man, I was hoping to get I wanted the comment. I wanted the combo. I couldn't get there. But
if you switch out
you mean Kelsey. Wait a minute. Can I get to Kelsey?
If you go Tony
there it is.
Goddard, you go Tony Butker, Goddard, Hurts, Kelsey, Mahomes.
Tony?
Geek, you had no quarterback.
No. Then I fucked it up. I got no quarterback in there. Wait, where's my quarterbacks?
I don't hate it.
5K. You got to give up 1. Yeah, I mean, you basically even with Kadarius Toney in there, you have to put Quez to make it work.
No, you get to a kicker, can't you? Oh, you got AJ.
No, you have to now again. Let's just the Goddard. Goddard I think is a more reasonable starting point.
It's still not.
It's still not going to get. I'm telling you, it's very difficult to get Kelsey and Mahomes in there together. You have to pretty much sacrifice Hurts. Like you can't have Hurts, Kelsey. Mahomes.
Okay, while you're building, you can pick one player between Kelsey, Hurts, and Mahomes. One player. Who do you roster on DraftKings?
Hurts. I say Hurts.
I'm Kelsey, I think.
I could be talking.
I was just curious. That was a pointless exercise at this point, but
I don't know. Like I just think I like Kelsey, or I like Kelsey obviously, but like he's probably got to score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, let's say he gets to. I mean, I think Hurts is locked in for 25 fantasy points. Mahomes is probably locked in for 25 also.
I think so too.
The question is, can I find more than 20? Now, Kelsey normally doesn't get more than 27 or 28 fantasy points in a game. Take a look at his logs, just to be clear. I mean, he had the 35-pointer recently.
He comes out in the playoffs. He shows up.
He does. Yeah. But, 20 against the Bengals. High scoring. No, that game was, whatever.
That game was turtly. I think that was a good score for that game.
Let's just look at his average fantasy points per game. This guy's at 20 points. Let's be real. This guy's at 20. We don't need to look at the whole thing. This guy's at 20.6. Mahomes is at 26. These numbers at the end of a season, I know we don't look at it. We never talk about average points because that is some effectually lazy analysis, but it's not. These guys, we have a whole season's worth of data that shows that Kelsey should score about 20 fantasy points most weeks. This one might be an elevated one. Okay. But Hurts is getting you 25 and Mahomes is getting you 20. Both Mahomes and Hurts, those numbers are the same. They're both getting you 26. They're both great. And they're both outscoring Kelsey more often than not.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like what the math is saying.
Kelce gets 80 and a tutty, 7 catches. Is there potential that he doesn't get in the nuts?
Yes, definitely. Right? Yeah. He can get 80 and a touchdown, which are his props, basically. 7 receptions. Those are his reception props. That gets you 16 plus
21.
6. That's 22 fantasy points. Without crossing the 100, which I think he will, and without that second touchdown, 100? Which he could. Well, now add one more reception for 20 yards and a second touchdown.
That smashes.
Now you're at 35. So that's effectively the difference right there. It's the 22 to 25er from Kelce does not outscore Mahomes and Hurts.
And potentially doesn't even get him in the nuts at all.
Yeah, it could be out of the nuts because AJ Brown does it. There are, remember who's Kelce competing with. I look at each salary line. I know we're taking a little more time, guys, as you're watching this. This is the Super Bowl slate, so we kind of like we'll take. I think
it's important to have those conversations though, because that's a really good game from Travis Kelce, and it's important to understand that a really good game from Travis Kelce might actually not even get him in the nuts just based on pricing and stuff.
Yeah, just these other guys. So understand, Kelce's competing at 15.9, or let's look at the flex number, he's competing with Brown and Smith, Mahomes and Hurts, right? This 5-pack of players, they're all competing with one another, and they're all similar enough in salary. You're making decisions. If I play, I can only really play probably 2 of them, and to squeeze a third one in is difficult. And even when you're squeezing the third one in, you got Quez in your line. Like you basically have a 0. Now, when you're MMEing, you can rotate Quez with Bell and Noah Gray and Jody Fortson and all these other turds. And so you can make a few different versions of it where you swap out the turd.
Sure. I convinced myself I'm making a rule in MME, and that is no more than 2 of those top 3 guys.
I like that.
I think the money's made in the middling range. With your Kenny Gainwells, Pacheco, I would even say Tony. So I like trying to get more exposure to the guys in the middle. It's just so unlikely. I mean, you guys have mentioned it a million times. Yep. Kelce's so close in price to those QBs. We saw this earlier this season, right? Mahomes threw like 5 touchdown passes, 400 yards. Kelce caught 4 of them, and there was only 1 of them in the nuts lineup, from what I remember.
It's happened so many times. Let's just look at recent scores from Kelce and compare it to Mahomes, right? Let's look at it. I'm just going to work the numbers, right? So let's just remember 20, 35, 10, 12, 20, 23, 11.
Yeah.
23, 16, 14, couple bad games here, but 29, 23, 25. I mean, Mahomes is outscoring Kelce
regularly,
more often than not. It's not to say that Kelce can't do it. That 35 pointer that Kelce, actually, what week was that? That was week 20. Let's see what Mahomes did week 20. I think it was similar. 35 from Kelce, 16 for Mahomes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't trick yourself into thinking if you play one, you have to have the other.
Right.
That's a lie.
And not only that, but I mean, what this shows you is that, any of these pass catchers has the capability of outscoring these quarterbacks. Although, like I said, if that's happening, there's usually some other aspect or scenario going on that's affecting it. Like, for example, Hurts doesn't get there, but AJ Brown does.
Yep.
But also Miles Sanders does. Like Sanders gets 2 touchdowns and Brown gets 2. And Hurts has a nice game, but he only scores 23 and he's not there.
With the Chiefs, it's even harder, right? Because Pacheco punches one in, McKinnon punches one in, Travis Kelce throws one of those stupid touchdown passes to Noah Gray. Now Mahomes, where did all his touchdowns go? I mean,
Mahomes still winds up with a 17. Yeah, he still has a nice game, but just doesn't quite get there. So
you always just got to ask yourself, are all of these guys going to have good games? And the reality is that probably not. And even if they all do, they're not all going to be there. So you need to account for that when you're building lineups.
You just can't afford it. You can't squeeze them all
right.
in. So, like I said, the best way to go, I would say, for a single game, and we'll move on to FanDuel here in a second, would be, understand that You can't have every single stud in every single lineup. It does help if you start with a cheaper captain and be right about it. I think there's a big advantage in these in the showdown in general to picking a cheaper player and being right about it. So the power of a 20-point game from Dallas Goedert is much more effective than a 25 or 27-point game or even a 30-point game from Kelsey or AJ Brown.
Right.
Yes, you'll get the extra 5 points in the captain if you have the other guy, but the flip scenario is you get to spend another 5 or 6K and you can move from Quez to Pacheco. I mean, like, it's a massive upgrade on that one player, and you're looking at a 5-point difference versus Quez to Pacheco. Pacheco could put up 20 and Quez could put up 6. You know what I'm saying? So
sure,
there's just some math to this that there's very, it's funny. I jumped back into MMA, and I was just looking at the math of how MMA lineups took fucking championship ticket down, by the way, 10K. I'm in the championships.
Let's go.
Week 1 back. But one of the reasons we hit that was because I was looking at the numbers, and it just doesn't make sense. When you play the highest, the most expensive guy, they have to do so much in order to be in the winning lineup. They're competing with every other player. They're competing with themselves. There's it's so stacked against them. And the captain position is stacked against like the most like AJ Brown can get there because he can put up 40. Like AJ Brown has 48-point upside anytime he plays because he's that guy. Yep. He'll get there if he does that. But if he just does like his normal thing and puts up like a 23, and then and these guys put up 25s, 27s, and then you can accidentally, put Kadarius Toney in there and he gets you a 19. That's the 19 is going to get. That's the more effective captain because of how much salary you allowed yourself and you left for yourself on the table. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's like much more power in a good score from a cheaper guy, like Valdez-Scantling last week. And you guys called it 2 weeks ago. Like that was not something that we did not discuss on the tournament show. Like we were all over Valdez-Scantling. And like when it was coming true, I was just like, oh my God, it's fucking happening. I can't believe another one we talked up like crazy is doing this. And like, I think DFS Army freaking feasted. It was on the tournament tactics show that we were talking about because of the coverage. And my feeling is AJ Brown is that guy again this week. I want to repeat it.
Hey, AJ Brown plus 1,800 MVP.
Yeah.
Did you hit that?
Yeah. I love it. 2 touchdowns, you get the MVP.
You think so?
Yeah. It's
okay. Well, then you might as well play Dallas Goedert at like plus 5,000.
Here's how it works. 1 touchdown, it goes to the quarterback. 2 touchdowns, you get it. The wide receiver will get it.
What if the quarterback throws 4 TDs?
Doesn't matter. If one of the guys gets 2, it gives him a better chance. Like, he's not locked into getting it, sure, but he does not have any chance with just 1. They have to get 2 touchdowns.
Right.
CEH, man, I don't know. At 1K CEH, do we need to play him?
No.
Let's not forget, he just lost his job. Like he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He didn't lose it because he got hurt. He just was benched. He
and then
was
he got
down in the pecking order.
Or pretended to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't think you need to play. I mean, even at 1,000, if he scores a touchdown, I don't even know if he's in the nuts. So I don't need to play him there. Let's talk FanDuel real quick. And there's not that much to really go over on FanDuel.
I think it's almost harder to build a lineup over there, though.
I'll bring it up. We'll put it on the screen here. But I mean, I just want to show you the contest though. Like, look at FanDuel. I got to give credit to FanDuel. As much as their showdown contest format is pretty shitty, and it's not good. Too many ties. It's not very good. But I got to credit them, man. A 57-cent game, $1 game with massive numbers, a $3 game, a $9 game, a 5-cent game. If the 57 was too rich for your blood, there's a 5-cent game.
So good.
And there's fucking 800,000 entries in it, which means that there's actually like money for first. Like, it's 1,500. Okay. All right. I'll take it. All right. So let's, props to FanDuel for putting out these kind of contests and the opposite of what props is to DraftKings for always kind of like not having the best contests. Wow, they priced up Mahomes and Hurts pretty intensely here. So you literally
you got to make a decision on FanDuel. I think
you can't play both.
I think it's too hard. Like you can get it, but it don't look good.
Let's go to the cheat sheet because I have not looked at FanDuel salaries at all. So obviously, DFS Up North, you love Hurts and Mahomes. You probably have to play
it's
more.
so unlikely that somebody outscores them.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ Brown or Travis Kelce in a 1 in 17 chance. You know what I mean?
I think all three of them, even Smith, like they all have that potential. Like
but
AJ Brown
is that it's going to be.
Yeah, it's super likely. But the alternatives, you're right though. It's AJ Brown because he's like a 30. When he does it big.
Yep.
Kelce could 3 touchdowns. He could get there. That kind of thing.
But even there, I don't think he outscored. Did he outscore Mahomes that week?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably. I think he did that.
Yeah, I believe so.
That third touchdown usually puts you over the edge if you're a pass catcher.
I hate this play. I hate it so much.
Uh-oh.
Miles Sanders would have outscored the field 3 times this season. 3 times. He would have outscored everyone else. Running backs on FanDuel, obviously quarterbacks, but running backs as well. 1%. 1%. He's 7% projected in the flex. That's nuts.
That is wild.
It's because he's more expensive than Devontae Smith.
I know, but come on.
And he's the same price as Brown. So, in fairness to FanDuel, what they did to make up for the fact that they priced up the quarterbacks in almost like a cruel way, if you ask me, was they priced down, Brown and Smith and even Pacheco at 10-5. That is just a crazy low for a touchdown score. FanDuel, we want touchdown scorers above all. And, the running back, the starting running back is a touchdown scorer. Tight ends are touchdown scorers. And Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are touchdown scorers. Like these guys could, especially Brown. So you need the touchdown scorers, and Kelsey's up here.
Who has the second best odds? I'm sorry, who has the best odds on the slate? Second best odds, score touchdown.
Second best?
First best, Hurts. Hurts is most likely.
Second best is your boy Miles Sanders.
Sanders.
Really?
No, never. It's
gotta be Kelce.
It's Kelce, and then
is it Kelce?
Yeah, it's gotta be Kelce. Kelce.
They don't. Well, they do have Mahomes.
That's right.
If you gave me a head-to-head with Kelce and Sanders.
Okay, well, of course. Obviously.
No, I'm not saying for fantasy. I'm saying to score a touchdown prop, right? I would have Kelce probably like minus 130 in that. Like I would favor Kelce to score a touchdown, definitely over Sam, maybe even minus 150.
100%.
Yeah,
yes,
I would favor Kelce over Miles. But
they have Pacheco plus.
I'm saying it's closer than any of us want.
Yeah, he could score a touchdown. He scored 2 in the last game. He could score a touchdown. And you're right. We haven't really seen one of the dynamics that changes we have to train our brain for is that both of the Eagles playoff games were blowouts, complete blowouts. They didn't have any resistance. So, they're up huge. They're like, Miles, let's roll out Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell. We don't know what they're going to do in a close game. We haven't seen it. We have not seen what they will do at the running back position if the game is close and contest. Maybe they lean heavy on Miles Sanders. We don't know. That's mysterious, and he's low owned. Bobbywow, I agree with you because we don't know.
And I hate it. I hate the play. I still hate it, but we have to mention it because that's crazy to me.
How do we afford these guys on FanDuel? So let's see what the pay down options look like here. Kadarius, Tony can do it again for $7K. I like that.
Yep, the price is pretty good there.
I'm just looking for touchdown scorers down here. This is pretty gross. Noah Gray can score a touchdown, but that's pretty gross. Third zone, 5%, 10%er. Justin Watson. I like Gray. All right. From this whole crew of trash cans, right? And I'm going to give you this trash crew right here, guys. And you guys in the comments, hit me up and let me know. So we're looking at this trash crew right here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Sky Moore, Quez, Watson, Gray, all turns. You're forced to choose one. And I didn't include Kadarius Toney because I like Toney as a real play. But if you had to choose one of these 6,500 and below to make your lineup work, and Bobbywow and Up North and commenters, which one are you going with? You got Pascal, Gray, Watson, Quez, Sky Moore, Hilaire, or none of the above?
Sky Moore.
Yeah.
7 targets last week.
Yep.
I know they were injured, but
You're going both of you guys?
Josh's special teams touchdown. Yeah.
Both in agreement. You're both in agreement.
Yes.
I
Sky
think
Moore.
so.
Okay.
I think so.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, they're all turds. So,
Turds.
yeah.
I don't
Okay.
love it.
I don't like it. But you know what? On FanDuel, the what is it? 0%. The 3% owns Sky Moore. By the way, he's the lowest owned of this crew. 3% owns Sky Moore. Above 9% owned Quez.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. But I think any one of these guys could score a touchdown. I literally think any one of these have, probably within like Sky Moore 4% owned. I give him more than a 4% chance to score a touchdown in this game. I give him any one of these guys about a 5 to 7% shot once a season. 5%. I'd give it higher than that, maybe 10%. So when you think of 5%, you think this guy will score 1 touchdown in a season. That's 5%. Noah Gray will score a touchdown in a season. Yeah. Justin Watson could score a touchdown in a season. I'll give them all more than a 5% chance of being that guy. And that's how you win the money.
Right.
Yeah. Or Bill is just saying, hey, it's just going to mirror. It's just going to be the same thing that happened last week. It's going to happen again. Juju, Tony, or both, or one of them gets hurt.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't think Tony's fully healthy, and everybody's talking up.
That could be, you know what? We're not really talking too much about it, but that could really be a thing. Like, Tony gets hurt, hurt every game.
Right.
Juju's randomly getting hurt in games. Like, anything like that happens, all of a sudden Sky Moore goes from, kind of like just the 5th or 4th wide receiver to, hey, this guy's, he's being used and whatever. So, yeah, that could definitely happen. Up above here, though, I definitely like Kadarius Toney. MVS a little bit. Are we very low on MVS in general? Like, we were all over him 2 weeks ago.
It was a Kansas City receiver. He's on the field as a Chiefs wide receiver. That's just who he is.
And not that like Travis Kelce is a great blocker, but they're going to have to run a lot of double tight end sets just to deal with this pass rush, right? Like, so who's he going to throw the ball to?
It's not Montez Van Scanna. He's going to have to dump it off to.
But like the Mahomes scramble hits MVS coming across the middle.
I don't even care if Darrelle Revis in peak form was covering this guy. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a 1 game sample. Of course, I got to go to a Jets analogy. Like, I should have said someone else.
I love it.
It doesn't matter. It's a 1 game sample size. Yes, will he be on the outside against Darius Slay for a lot of the game? Sure. But, like, what about that one play where he's not and he gets open, or Mahomes scrambles and he just launches it? This guy catches it and runs it for a touchdown. It's the same thing as the Quez Watkins play, and I don't want to leave this breakdown without saying it only takes 1 reception. A 60-yard touchdown reception for Quez Watkins, and he will definitely be in the nuts lineup and possibly be the captain of that lineup. So,
as gross as that sounds,
it can happen. These things can happen in these slates. You're going up against, in this DraftKings contest here, you're going up against 470,000 other lineups. It's going to be really hard to build like an AJ Brown lineup that's unique against 470,000 other lineups. Like, that's not easy to do.
Right.
Here, I mean, you're talking about 300,000 lineups where 100,000 of them have Mahomes at captain. Like, how could you even build a non-duped lineup? I would give you credit if you could build a single Hurts or Mahomes lineup that is not duped in this 262,000 person contest. You are the man.
God.
I don't even know if it's possible.
I don't think
you could play
is.
Somebody that's not playing.
You know how it's possible? You roster Ron John. That's how it's possible.
Yeah, like like something.
I
ridiculous.
Can't believe you didn't write him up, Josh. I'm so sad.
Thank goodness. Not with
coming back got me off the Ron John.
Thank goodness we didn't have to play Ron John.
Can I mention one more thing? Just Geek, I'm a little bit shocked how sure you are that this game's going to hit the over.
I'm very comfortable with it. This is one of my. I want you can convince me. I obviously convince me if I'm wrong, but my feeling is we could be looking at a game that's 21-21 at halftime. Like I could just see that. And when I think about how quickly both teams can score, and I get that both defenses are good, but both offenses are better than the opposing defenses. Both teams can score quickly. And when either team falls behind, they will step it up. This isn't the Giants where they don't have the tools. This isn't San Francisco where if you fall behind, they don't have the tools on the team to catch up. Both of these teams, if they are ever behind, have the tools and they do use them and they do catch up. Let's say the Eagles go up 21-0. Weird shit happens, an interception. It's midway through the second quarter. The Eagles are up 21-0.
Okay.
The Chiefs aren't rolling over and dying. They're stepping it up. They're going to turn up the heat. It'll be 14-21 by halftime. Like they will figure it out. And they'll score twice in that last 6 minutes. They will get it figured out. So that's just how I see it going. I don't see punting happening in this game. I'm telling you, I don't see a lot of punts. I could be wrong, but that's just the read that I took. I bet the over. I like the Eagles to win it, but I feel less confident about the winner of the game than I do about just like offensive explosion.
Interesting.
I like the Chiefs.
We haven't seen it. The Eagles haven't had almost all year to put their foot on the gas. They've been such a dominant team. They've led all throughout the season. Couple of injury games, couple like weird games where you had to get that loss in. They're 11-0. Take a couple of L's.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get a couple of losses.
I think that
Minshew in there.
Think about here too is like as you're watching the game, if let's say you're heavy on the Eagles, like what you want to happen is the Chiefs to go up 14-0.
Yes.
Right?
That's
like that's what you want to happen.
You're happy as a pig in shit.
Yep.
If you've got the Chiefs offense and the Eagles are up, 14-0, you're like, oh, here we go. This is it.
Mahomes 350 yards, 4 tutties. Let's go.
Here's how it goes bad. Here's how it goes bad for the offenses. It's not that they're not. So this is where I wanted to go with this. I don't see any scenario where this game plays out and the teams aren't moving the football up and down the field. They're too good. Here's how it goes wrong. You get in the red zone, you don't put it in the end zone.
Finish.
You can't finish.
Kickers, baby.
Field goal. Back another field goal. And now we're at halftime. You go, oh my God, I cannot believe what happened here. They were in the red zone 5 times. They kicked 3 field goals, had a turnover, and then they went for it on 4th. And you're like, oh my, they're moving the football. They're just not putting it in the end. That's the scenario. But there's no scenario that I can even envision. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna be honest. I went to the shadow realm to envision this game, if you know what I'm talking about. Right? I went to the shadow realm and thought this through. And I couldn't even paint the version of it where the teams aren't going up and down the field. It's just like the weird shit that happens. We saw it with the Bills a couple times this year, where it was like 5 times that one game. They're like in the red zone 5 times. He throws an interception, a fumble happens. You're like, what am I in bizarro land? What is going on in this game? But they're flying up and down the field. That's going to happen in this game. That's what I think. Bobbywow, tell me otherwise. Convince me.
No, I it's hard to disagree. The last 4 Super Bowls have hit the under, right? We've got an Eagles team who hasn't had to put their foot on the pedal, which is a little bit concerning to me. And look, these defenses have looked elite so far this postseason. The Eagles have shut everybody down. The Chiefs just shut down the Bengals. They made Joe Burrow look pedestrian.
Hold up. The Eagles played. Who was the quarterback?
Okay, let's
Christian
talk about the Chiefs.
McCaffrey. He played quarterback. Christian McCaffrey.
I think we would all agree that Eagles defense is elite. I think that's fair to say.
No, they're very good, but they're not better than Chiefs offense.
And look at who the Chiefs, they shut down Joey B. I'm just saying. That's all. I think it's more likely than you think. But again, these offenses are really good.
Both defenses are good. By the way, people don't even realize, and to your point, Bobbywow, that the Chiefs secondary, according to PFF rankings, those corners are actually even better than the Eagles corners, which is weird for me because I don't know.
Jerry Sneed's good.
Yeah, they're ranked a little bit higher, but so outside, but again, you're not stopping Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are better than them. Like they're superior. And then for the Eagles side of it, Mahomes is so good that even going up against elite corners, he's got Kelsey, he's got freaking Sky Moore and just random turds, and he makes them good. It's just Mahomes is that good.
He does.
And the Eagles can be run on too. You know, technically, if you want to attack the Eagles, you should be running on them, which is where Pacheco. The shocker. I'm just trying to come up with shock scenarios. The shock scenario is Pacheco has a monster game, and we talked about at the beginning. You love Pacheco.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's not sleep on Pacheco. That's my shocker. Like, it's hard. It's harder for me to envision a Miles Sanders smash game than it is for me to envision a Pacheco smash game.
Sure.
Because Sanders is not going to throw to no matter what. But Pacheco got 6 targets last week. Like, elevate that.
He's fun, man. Pacheco is a lot of fun.
He's a little. I like him.
I just did a dynasty draft earlier today, a mock dynasty draft. Pacheco, like, you got to make a decision in like round 7. He's a guy that you're taking.
You did a fake draft.
Well,
any other team.
He's
on any other team.
Did it?
McKinnon doesn't come back next year. He's 37 years old at this point. He's 32. It's going to be Pacheco.
Fourth knee.
He's super old. McKinnon's very old. He used to be a Viking, DFS up north.
When he went to the 49ers, and former staff member here was all over it, and I said, not a chance. And then I was right because he tore his ACL.
on that note, I don't know if it comes through YouTube, but I'm rocking the Eagles fly green.
Oh, I saw the blue hat.
Comes through.
I like the new colors.
I put one in. I asked Laura to put a purple and yellow in the mail.
Yes, I saw. I like that.
Vikings. Got to get Bobbywow a Bears.
Right.
Black.
Are we gonna wrap this thing up and because I'm gonna pee my pants if we don't.
Oh, that's it. We are good to go, guys. I just listen. This was the last showdown of the year. I want to thank both of you guys. These have been awesome.
Yeah,
I love hanging out. I hope that comes through to people who are watching this. Like, I genuinely love these guys, and like I miss hanging out when we're not hanging out.
I just the last 2 weeks have been terrible because there's been no football, and like you said the other day, like our little group chat where I tell you that your plays suck and you tell me that I'm wrong, and then it's just been so quiet.
Yeah, I think, by the way, people do like that we don't agree on everything.
I think that's important, right? Like, it's important to not. Bobby's very good about being like, well, I don't agree with you, and then he just lets you move on. Whereas I'm a little more like, I don't like this.
And admittedly, I'm wrong more often than not, like when I make fun of your plays. And so that's awesome. Yep. But I genuinely loved hanging out with you guys. I love hanging out with our live crew that's here watching live with 110 people live. Every single time we do one of these, it's been amazing. And of course, the comments that come in from the people that watch after, and we really appreciate you. So, thanks for hanging with us this season. We hope that you did well. We hope that you won some tournaments. We hope you had fun and were at least entertained. I wore a turd hat. Bobbywow wore a turd hat. Like, we do silly shit. I need to
order one.
I legitimately think philosophically that, and not about turds. I think that part of DFS, listen, we're gambling, we're fucking around. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gambling on shit. And I think it's nice to have fun when you're doing it. Get a little silly, somebody's like, oh, you have to be serious. There are other places you can go if you want overly serious people that aren't entertaining. There's other channels for that. If you like what we're doing here, we appreciate you for, and if you don't like it, fuck off. I don't give a shit. So we like to have fun. We like to get a little silly with these, but we also like to win. We take it very serious. So we appreciate everybody that's hung out with us and putting your faith in us this NFL season, to have a great season with DFS Army, with our community. On that note, and I totally forgot to mention this. Oh, fuck, I made a mistake. We are running a swag contest for our members, guys. And I love that everybody's still here. So we're running a swag contest, and it's basically free to enter, but we would like you to make a donation. One of our longtime members Their significant other is having some health issues, cancer situation going on, and they need some help. They got a GoFundMe. So I said, hey, why don't we run a contest? Give any kind of donation to that GoFundMe, and we'll post it in my channel in the Discord. And I'll put the GoFundMe in the link to this description here when I get it as well to this video. If you put in even $5, makes any donation to these people, help them out. We're going to do it as well. And we'll just have a nice showdown contest. The winner will get a DFS Army swag bag. You could choose the hat color, green, go Minnesota. Go Minnesota, purple, yellow. I got the Vikings. I got the Packers. Don't ask me why. That's just the hat colors that were available. It's just random. It has nothing to do with the teams. It's just what was around. So it's just the swag colors, guys. There's no like the Jaguars people like, why don't you get, the Bengals like, where's my Bengal thing? I'm like, dude, they didn't have that. They didn't have it. But so enter that contest, win a swag bag. Everybody wants the DFS Army swag. You want it. You want to wear this guy around town. Do that. You get a shirt, all that good stuff. And we support our own in DFS Army. We're a community. And that's my favorite part of what I do for a living. It's my favorite part of DFS Army. It's the community. It's these people. We're talking barbecuing in my channel all day. Like the things we talk about are nuts. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks for being with us this season, guys. Good luck. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Deuces, everyone.